All right, time to talk tech with CTV tech analyst Carmi Levy, who joins us every Thursday afternoon. So, Carmi, I saw this on your list. I said we have to talk about this. I actually read a story on this today. New term, ladies and gentlemen, that you want to be familiar with if you're traveling by air. That word is passenger lice. Okay, what's the story?
Yeah, these are the people that we love to hate when we fly. And so they're the folks who will hang around at the gate when you're boarding, and they will get into line even if their zone has not been called. And they'll push in front of you. They'll try to get themselves beeped in when they're not supposed to. They're supposed to wait, but they don't, and they mess everything up for everyone else. So American Airlines is going to enforce the rules there. If you try to board and your zone has not been called yet, they will send you to the back of the line. You are not getting on the plane. It will beep. You'll get a giant X on your account, and you will have to then wait until everyone else boards. This is supposed to keep order, keep people from going type A when they're boarding, and hopefully, ensure that the boarding process is as smooth as possible, because quite frankly, when people are busting into lines ignoring the rules, that's not exactly the case for the rest of us.
By the way, my favorite part of this story is, and I think anyone who's traveled by air has seen these people, right? Just hanging around waiting for the opportunity to try to cut in and hoping that a gate agent doesn't notice. What's really interesting about this story, there will be an audible sound so that everybody there waiting in line will know that you are that person. I thought that was great.
It absolutely is. It kind of names and shames people, and it uses technology that's already in place. We already have the zones on our boarding passes, whether they're printed or electronic. There's already an electronic tag in the gate check-in system that verifies the zone. So all they're doing really is just turning on something that's been in place for a very long time. And I'm a good little boy when I fly. I follow the rules. I nod. I smile. I listen to advice. I don't try to push people aside. And so to use technology to force proper behavior, I am so for it, and I cannot wait to fly. And I'm kind of waiting to see if Canadian Airlines follow their lead. I think this is a no-brainer. This will probably be universal across the industry pretty soon.
So I would just point out, by the way, and when I read this story, I thought to myself, I've often wondered if it doesn't matter. It's American Airlines, by the way, the airline here, and they're the only ones, and it's only in a select few airports to begin with, right? I never understood, and maybe you can sort of fill me in here. We know who's traveling, as you said. We know where you're sitting because your seat has been assigned when you checked in. Why can't we just have a board? Your name is there. When it's your turn, you're the person who on the board. When it comes up on the board, you go check in. Is that a privacy issue?
No, part of it is calling people's names out. Obviously, there are some concerns, but they're already calling people's names out in airports, and I don't think anyone's been complaining about that either. I think part of it revolves around the fact that airlines have been unbundling all of their services in recent years, and so in many cases, people aren't checking their luggage. They're carrying it on board. They want to get on board before those very scarce overhead bins get filled. Sure. So if they can bust in and get in before their zone gets called, why not? So to a certain extent, the industry created this problem, and the type A super aggressive flyers have taken it upon themselves to bust the rules. But hey, I can't change the financial realities of the airline industry. I can think that, maybe we should applaud American Airlines for using technology to make people behave a little bit better.
Okay. Again, I didn't want to spend the entire break talking about this, Carmi. I will just offer one solution to the airlines. If we know where everyone's sitting, if we know the name attached to that, how about when you hand out the boarding passes, you get a colored, depending on where you're sitting, red, blue, green, yellow, and then when it's green's turn to board, right, they light up green, and there could be no confusion over who's getting on and who's not getting on.
Oh, I think that'd be amazing. And because most of us are using electronic boarding passes and we have the app of the airline anyway, it'd be a really easy fix to put into the app, and it would automate the process significantly and give us one more thing to play with when we're at the airport.
Always happy to help. All right, let's move on from that. Next story here. This is interesting. So it turns out one of the AIs, this AI has a name, Claude or Claude?
Yeah,
Claude AI? That was the name of the Drysdale's dog, on the clamp. Anyway, so Claude AI, apparently during some testing here, AI can get bored during demonstrations?
Yeah, they released a video. So the company's called Anthropic, and basically they're one of the competitors to OpenAI. They're a competitor to Google, to Amazon. They're trying to be one of the leaders in the AI industry, and they released an update to Claude. It's called version 3.5, and they were training it. And so they took a video of them training it, and they realized while they were busy going through training, Claude decided that it didn't want to write code and do the things that they asked it to do. Instead, it opened Google all by itself and it started browsing through pictures of photos from Yellowstone National Park. And another time they asked it to record video footage and it decided it didn't want to and it dumped the footage and lost it. So they released this update almost as a joke, say, look, see, our technology isn't perfect, kind of tongue in cheek, address some of the concerns and fears that we have around technology, that if we think that these technologies of AI is going to take over from humanity, lead to human extinction, remove all of our jobs and all that stuff, well, it's not quite perfect yet because it does get bored and it just wants to look at pretty pictures when it does. So I think it's kind of funny, but at the same time, I think they're also looking for PR points, and I think they did a really good job scoring them here.
Wow, it's almost human. And then there's a story here, an AI transcription service used in of all places, hospitals, apparently invented things that no one had ever said. What's this about?
So OpenAI is the company that brought us ChatGPT. They have another tool. It's called Whisper. And basically, it works a lot like Otter.ai if you've ever used it. It listens to a conversation or to a meeting, and it transcribes it. So you no longer have to take notes. And so it's really great in corporate meetings. And a lot of doctors have started using it so that while you go there for a checkup, for example, they don't have to sit there and take notes. Whisper just listens to the conversation, transcribes it for you. But they've discovered along the way that it has a tendency to, let's call it, go off the rails. When things get quiet, sometimes it inserts its own entries into it that were never said in the first place. That's bad enough. What's especially frightening is, in some cases, it's downright racist or violent, or it even introduces imagined medical treatments. And so doctors have found they've got to go through the transcripts and kind of remove all this crazy stuff that Whisper is inserting. OpenAI says they're aware of it, they're working on it, but they also remind people that it should not be used in high-risk domains. And I think it's safe to say that at this point, medical transcription in a clinical environment, probably they might want to back away from the precipice there. Use it somewhere else until the technology is improved.
Every time we do this, I start to worry more and more about where AI is going. All right, let me close with this last story. CRTC, yet again, promising cheaper internet coming to Canadians, but the keywords are yet again.
Yet again, because I've heard these promises for the better part of the last 20 years, and I'm looking at my monthly bill, and it hasn't gone down in that entire time. So what they've done is they have finalized the wholesale rates that smaller providers will pay to the national telecommunications companies that built their networks. So those rates are now codified for everyone across the country, and they're saying that over the next few months, this will allow a lot of smaller providers to bring high-speed internet to your home and business for less money. That sounds great. It's wonderful. We know that there's an election next year. Maybe this will make the government look good, but I've bought that T-shirt many times before, and quite frankly, the T-shirt isn't getting any cheaper. I don't think this is going to play out at all. Internet is still too expensive in this country.
I don't know why it takes so long to get this done. Okay. Carmi, I guess that's all the time we have. By the way, did you happen to watch the end of the baseball game last night? Are you a baseball fan?
Oh, yes, I did. Stormed back and put the Yankees where they deserve to be put. Loved it.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
It was nice seeing the Yankees go down. I think we're
out of time. Sorry, Carmi. I'd like to continue this conversation, but I see we have news coming up next. Wow, just bad timing. Thank you, Carmi.
Thanks,
Take
Aaron.
care.